move to this and keep an eye on it, leaving nothing to chance over one of the more contested areas of the world. The U.S. military is said to be unveiling a so-called hellscape strategy if China were to invade Taiwan. It calls for the use of thousands of drones. Republican Senator Dan Sullivan just got back from a trip to Southeast Asia, is with us in person. And good morning to you. You met with Taiwan's president, a lot of others over there as well. Admiral Samuel Paparo,
yes.
Okay. He's the commander of U.S. Indo-Pac Command. He said, I'm going to turn the Taiwan Strait into an unmanned hellscape using a number of classified capabilities. I can make their lives utterly miserable for a month, which buys me the time for the rest of everything. You want to flush that out?
Well, look, I'm a big fan of Admiral Paparo. He just started in the job, and he's aggressive, and I like his aggressiveness. But I was over there meeting with the Taiwanese leadership. Then we moved over to Singapore to meet with allies that we have in the Indo-PACOM region. But, Bill, here's the challenge. Our shipbuilding capacity is in a crisis, and the U.S. Navy is dramatically shrinking. So, Admiral Paparo, this is a great plan, but we don't have the Navy to execute that at all. The Biden Navy, let me just give you some of the numbers, has gone from 293 ships to 280 ships by 2027. That's when Xi Jinping says he wants to be ready for an invasion of Taiwan. Meanwhile, China's shipbuilding is going to go to over 400 ships by 2027. So we are being outmatched in a huge way. And I know Admiral Paparo is very concerned about that. I've spoken to him.
We should pull up call for number one, because you just basically laid out these numbers here. So people can see just the vast amount of size. Why is it so important for us to have ships like this? I mean, that might sound like a simple question, but we're in the department of asking dumb questions.
Yes.
But is that, I mean, the answer is obviously what it is. But I want to hear you explain to the American people, like, why does this matter?
This matters hugely, right, with regard to our interests in the South China Sea, in the Indo-PACOM region. This is the entire U.S. Navy, Dana, that I'm talking about, that is shrinking dramatically. Meanwhile, our main adversary, China, is going through the biggest peacetime buildup of the military in history. And this is what happens when you have an aggressive dictator who sees an opportunity. Our weakness is going to be provocative, as it always has been. And here's the deal. The Secretary of the Navy is not focused at all on shipbuilding. Neither is the Biden administration. They're not focused on war fighting. This Secretary of the Navy focuses more on climate change, if you can believe that, than he does on war fighting and shipbuilding. So when you show this kind of weakness with an adversary, it invites chaos, and we're seeing that all over the world.
If Trump were to win in November, how would it change?
Oh, I think right now, look, we're heading back. I'm heading back to D.C. in the next hour. We're going to be marking up the Defense Authorization Act. A bunch of us, by the way, bipartisan group of senators have major amendments to try to fix our shipbuilding. But I think this would be a great initiative. A number of us have been talking about this already with members, we think, of the incoming Trump administration. Hopefully President Trump certainly wins in November. But this would be a very important initiative that I think is tailor-made for President Trump. And think about this, in terms of Republicans, whether it's Teddy Roosevelt with his Great White Fleet, whether it's Reagan, who built a 600-ship Navy, this is exactly what Republicans do.
You know, when we went to the Arctic a couple months ago, one of the things they talked about is icebreakers. Putin had, they told us 39.
54.
Yes, 54. Some of them are nuclear powered.
And almost all are weaponized.
We have two.
And one's broken.
And one's broken and dry dock, and they're run by the U.S. Coast Guard.
I mean, we, again, are overmatched in so many parts of the world. The Arctic, of course, is my home, right? That's Alaska. But the Russians and the Chinese, in terms of naval assets, are overmatching us all over the world. We have to fix it. We've done this before. We know how to build ships. We know how to build a military. But right now, with this administration, every year, President Biden has put forward a budget that shrinks the Army, shrinks the Navy, shrinks the Marine Corps. That is exactly the wrong message to be sending Xi Jinping and Putin and the Ayatollahs in Iran.
Seems like an issue that kind of goes under the radar.
Well, and
if
Republicans do win more of these seats in the Senate, you could have two additional, at least veterans, who are then maybe more military-minded and can help you get that across the finish line.
We have some great candidates, and we'll get back to peace through strength when President Trump takes the White House and Republicans take the Senate.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks again,
Thank
Bill.
you, Sam.
All right, Dana, good to see you as well.